Call of Duty introduced over 50 zombie maps and experiences over the last 17 years, and today I wanted to ask you a simple question. If you had to play one zombies map for the rest of your life, which one would it be? A simple question, right? But maybe not that easy to answer. And before you simply comment your favorite map, imagine this for a moment. One day you wake up, everything is fine, and you go on with your day. You walk and everything feels normal. Then, suddenly, whoosh, you notice something has changed, a feeling you can't really describe at first. You shrug it off and keep walking. You begin to notice that no one is there anymore. No cars passing by, no other people, nothing. The more you look around, the more you have to accept that everyone is literally gone. You begin to wonder if you're in a dream, but you're not. You go home and try to make sense of it. Days go by, nothing changes, everyone has vanished. The TV and of course the internet isn't working, and it feels like you're the last living human on Earth. Every day feels the same. Every day is the same. You're stuck in this limbo, in this cycle. One day, you turn on your old video game console that you stored somewhere in the house. With the console, you find your old copies of video games, and sure enough, there's a bunch of cards. You take all of the stuff with you and turn on the console. You can't wait to finally play all the old games again since there's literally nothing else you can do, right? But wait, what's that? For some reason, there is this weird message on your screen. It says the following. Please choose one map only, the rest will be deleted forever. You think this can't happen, nothing makes sense, and that's not how your games and console operate, right? But then again, you're in a weird situation already, being the last human on Earth, being stuck in this cycle. Almost like the characters from the Zombies mode themselves. Is this how they felt during their adventures? You think about it, for a while. You debate which disc you want to insert, to play the one map you have to play for the rest of your life. Which one do you pick? Which one will you boot up to experience it for the rest of eternity? Do you pick the classic Tag der Toten, the Black Ops 1 launch map, that is maybe the most iconic map ever? After all, you have such great memories. It's where you spend hours training zombies on the stage to get rid of them with the thunder gun. Such a fun weapon to use. Or maybe you want to relive Transit, the other iconic launch map. After all, you never hated it and had great fun with it. Playing it with friends. Right, friends. They are gone too. And you would have to play it solo. It might not be that fun playing it alone. What else is there? Maybe you want something more modern, while still feeling like a classic zombies experience. Black Ops 3 is an obvious contender. After all, it was considered the golden era of zombies by so many. From maps like Shadows of Evil to the Eisendrache and Gorod Krovi. Even Setsubono Shima and Revelations were decent experiences and had their own qualities. And oh, let's not forget the Chronicles remasters. From Nacht to Verrückt to Shino Numa to Shangri-La, Ascension, Moon, and Origins. Which one to pick? Such a difficult decision, right? You look at your copy of Black Ops 4. You remember how you felt initially about the game when it launched. It crashed a lot and the maps were so big, convoluted and complicated. After all, some of the Easter egg guides were almost 40 minutes at this point. Lots of nonsense to deal with on those maps, even though they looked amazing. But as you grew older, you came to realize that the Black Ops 4 maps were actually packed with so much content. Content that newer games lacked, and that you couldn't appreciate back then. Maybe you think about how bland and empty newer maps from Cold War and Black Ops 6 felt in comparison. Was this the time to finally boot up a convoluted Chaos map? Maybe. Or who knows, maybe you do appreciate modern games more. You could easily pick a map from the Dark Aether saga, They improved on some mechanics and the gameplay was fun and satisfying. And you have good memories of using the Chrysler on Forsaken, one of the best original and most creative wonder weapons in recent years. Or maybe you really want to revisit all of the Outbreak regions in that game. After all, it didn't require an online mode, not like Modern Warfare Zombies. This game was now dead. With no active players queuing up, the lobby would never fill again. But for the sake of your wish, you would be able to queue up in this game too, should you pick it as the one map for eternity. Just keep in mind that you would be the only operator in the entirety of Urkistan. A map that was made for 24 active players in the Zombies mode and 150 players during Warzone games. Surely you would feel somewhat alone on this big map all by yourself. But then again, so would you feel on the other zombie maps as well, right? But maybe that's exactly what you would want. Maybe you want to feel isolation, since it would fit to your current situation. In that case, you might boot up Moon or Revelations. But who knows where your preferences lie? Maybe you were never a fan of the Treyarch games and would rather play Sledgehammers or Infinity Ward's attempts of a Zombies mode. Choosing a World War II Zombies map to play for the rest of eternity would surely be a choice. Dark and gritty, and the gameplay was unforgivingly difficult. From the Final Reich to the Darkest Shore to the Shattered Throne, the Tortured Path, and the Frozen Dawn. But then again, you really liked the final map, and fighting the God King was the ultimate challenge for you. Something you would be able to master with enough time. And time you would have a lot. Who knows, maybe you would rather face Mephistopheles from Infinite Warfare Zombies. But wasn't he on the map that sucked so much? The Beast from Beyond, right? Would it be worth it to boot up this map every time to face him? Maybe Spaceland or Rave in the Redwoods was more fun to play. Or even Shaolin Shuffle or Attack of the Radioactive Thing. So many maps to choose from, but you would have to only pick one. So what do you prioritize? The gameplay loop in a map? The story of our characters on a map? The atmosphere? Or the amount of side content maybe? It would make sense to pick something that has lots of content. Lots of things to explore. Maybe you would try to figure out all side Easter eggs by yourself now, since there are no longer any guides on YouTube. But at some point in time, you would have explored the entirety of the chosen Zombies map. With infinite time on your hands and this endless limbo, even you would figure out how to complete every side quest on Dead of the Night. What then? You'd have to keep replaying it regardless. So maybe a map with some high stakes in regards of the story is the play here. Let's look at Origins. Sure, it's a big map and has 4 elemental staffs that all have upgrade quests, along with one crazy, satisfying Easter egg. But the end cutscene only raised more questions than answers. Not a fitting ending thematically, right? So maybe you're thinking, Revelations? The map with the big blue Apothicon sun, located somewhere outside of space and time itself, had an amazing atmosphere. A challenging Easter egg as well. Yes, not the best boss fight in all of Zombies, but the end cutscene of our characters going back in time to the beginning of the cycle would be a fitting conclusion each time you played it, right? Or maybe you would go one step further. Tag der Toten. Literally the final Ether map, where our premise crew found their ending. Would you want to relive their final adventure over and over again, seeing them breaking the cycle and banishing everything and everyone into the dark ether, besides young Eddie and Samantha? It would be bittersweet. Besides, the map has this lightning that's just so calming. Wouldn't you be at peace while looking at Tag's sunset and this orange horizon? But who knows? Maybe you were always a Chaos fan. From 9 to Voyage of Despair to Dead of the Night and Ancient Evil, you want to re-explore one of those enormous set pieces. You know, any of those are packed with so much content and lore. From taking down elephant bosses in a Roman Colosseum, to escaping the Titanic, to fighting against gigantic werewolves and vampires, to facing Pegasus and Perseus. So much stuff, so many great maps. Or maybe you would have a more depressing look at reality after realizing the scope of things. Eternity feels like forever, and forever feels like purgatory. Something like the characters were stuck in Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead. They literally died over and over, hundreds, maybe thousands of times before one day breaking the cycle. When the Weasel won against the other mobsters on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and when Richtofen sacrificed himself at the end of Blood of the Dead's main quest, and the Chronorium changed. You could pretend that you are them, boot up those maps, die, repeat, over and over, playing in a purgatory while being stuck in a purgatory. Forever. Kinda poetic in a way. I myself would consider Tag der Toten or Blood of the Dead if I had to face such a decision. While I do believe that some other maps are simply better, a lot of them wouldn't feel the same without the friends you played them with. Why bother playing the Eisendrache and dealing with the fact that your brothers, who once built the other 3 bows while you were working on the Void Bow, are no longer there to carry you through the boss fight? Sure, you could do it by yourself, but the emotional weight of knowing that you are alone on this map now, where you used to have fun together years ago, would be too much to handle. When I started this video, I could have easily asked you which map you would pick for the rest of your life under normal circumstances. But then the answer would have been most likely your favorite map, right? And while there's nothing wrong with that answer, I wanted to go one step further. A comfort map is nice to have. And I wish every single one of you watching this video that you have lots of more games on your favorite maps, alone or with friends. But if you were stuck in an endless loop, an endless cycle, and had the chance to only boot up one map for the rest of eternity, which one would you pick?